Hello and welcome to episode 132 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. It's Dex and Jack this week for you, rotating the host. I am back. I disappeared for quite a while. It felt weird not being as present in the podcast as I usually am, but these Jake and Jack did a very good job while I was away, and I will start this week by asking you, Jack, how has your week been, my friend? Hello.
Hello. It's been okay. I've started a new job, actually, so I'm quite tired, as I was saying before the podcast. And I've also realised I'm going to make Phil very annoyed currently. So I'm literally going to scroll back.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to do this. And
the
turn
audio
my
listeners.
light on. Because he always makes a big song and dance, doesn't he? About, his light's not on. So he can't be live. This can't be a video or a podcast. Because
We're not
his live
live,
light's
though.
not on. Well,
We're not
yes.
I don't feel like you need it on for when we're not live.
Exactly.
I feel like I do feel like he had a point when it was a live podcast and
Yes.
you didn't turn the live on air sign on. Both of you. You both had these live on air signs and neither
Yes.
of you turned them on when we were live. But for this, I kind of understand.
But this is my dry sense of humour, where I'm now facetious in the fact that I always must have it on a podcast episode and make a point of it.
I also notice you can't start a podcast without digging someone out, Jack, and I think that's something you might need to work on.
It's part
I
of the
think it's
fun,
something
though.
you might.
The
Do you need to
people
speak
enjoy
to someone?
it. The comments
you can't
enjoy
not attack
it.
someone. I just feel like if you can't get yourself set up for a podcast without going on the attack immediately, it might be saying something about you, sir.
You see, as well, it's also all part of my plan, where one episode in the future, I'm going to be as nice as pie, and it's going to throw everyone off that I'm being so nice, and it's going to make everyone really uncomfortable, and they'll all be asking, where's the digs? Where's the digs, Jack? Bring them back. And there's going to be a whole Twitter campaign. It's going to be a hashtag. It's going to trend everything. Underneath Sheffield Wednesday on Twitter trending, it's going to be hashtag bring angry worko back. I can see it now.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get that big.
No.
But still,
No.
You know what I found funny this week? The fact that you just cancelled a stream and went, I'm really tired after work. And I was like, welcome to live, Jack. Welcome to podcasting and trying to do things and getting gassed so many times when Sheffield Wednesday career mode coming back when you've just done a really, really long day at work and you'd already done all your content and editing. It's all fun because we do this because we enjoy it. But when you're tired,
we do this because we enjoy it. Yes.
Well, that's the fun thing now as well. We changed the podcast time. There's probably a reason I've got a little bit more sleep in my voice, maybe, is because we do these in a morning now, which is good because it starts the day. I can get everything done. I can get you see the podcast get out earlier.
Yes.
But it also means you've got to be on it. You got to have your cup of tea or your coffee. And Jack, I always worry he's not going to be awake, to be honest.
I'm up at 4:30 every single morning.
That's a bit rough.
Regimented. I just get in and I just figured, discipline, mental discipline and all that jazz. And so all my frustrations of that come out when I'm on an episode. And
I remember when I finished uni and went into hotel work. I just remember getting up at like 5:45 and having to be at work for 6:30, 7:15 or something for the early. And it was bad because you'd get up and you'd have like a monster when you got to work at a stupid of time. Because I was like 22 at the time. And I remember absolutely hating it. And I'm glad I did that early on because I was like, I can't do this forever. And some people, massive respect to them, do that forever. And that becomes, that sort of thing. Talking to people moaning in the morning if something's gone and you've got to deal with it while you're half asleep sort of thing. It's like, no, humans can be humans. And I don't want to do this forever. So I made the pivot and luckily got into I was quite lucky to find a way into the industry not too long after that. But it was all about risk. But but risk's also quite scary. But that means I don't have to wake up at the crack of dawn anymore. However, I might have to after Christmas because it all comes back around. And some of the work I'm doing musically is I'm traveling a lot more for bits of work. Less of it, but more travel.
Wait.
And I will update you all as that happens.
Oh my God. James, are you saying you're a musician?
No.
You're a musician?
No.
Oh my word. My mind is blown. Oh, wow.
For God's sake, you're such a petulant child.
I'm just bringing the joke back.
Do you know what?
You've abandoned your own podcast for 2 weeks,
do.
James. I've got to bring the joke back somehow. Now you're here again. You know? It's
All right. I was on holiday 2 weeks ago, and last week I was literally working all week.
So speaking of working all week, how has your week been, James?
Well, I was MDing a show last week, so that was quite fun. But it's tiring. So I didn't have a minute last week, but it was fun. What was I going to say? You've thrown me off now. Yes. Have you been watching the Sky coverage of the Premier League this weekend?
Not really. I won't. Right. So this is my controversial take, because a team that I have no emotional attachment to is not in the Premier League. I don't care about it. So I don't really watch much Premier League stuff these days. I don't know why. It's just...
Well, what I was getting at is they've hired Daniel Sturridge for the commentary team. So basically Sky Sports have brought their cringe fest of work. You know, like they've got their worko now, basically. Because I was watching it and I was going, the looks that some of their team are giving Daniel Sturridge for his takes and his cringe, just general cringe, are exactly the looks that me and Jake have given each other quite a few times since bringing you onto this podcast.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
That's a nice warm thing for you there. But
exactly.
No,
I'm a trendsetter. Some might say I'm a trendsetter. And there we go. There's the proof. The internationally renowned Daniel Sturridge is copying me. There we go. I'm a trendsetter.
I just think you both have very low mental ages. You're still children in your brains. Anyway, we'll get to the football in a minute. Calm down. It's nice to be back. I don't know if I'm on next week as well, talking about being busy. So it might be, but I will be on the week after. So it might be you two again. God, I've let you control the podcast for nearly a month. That'll be very weird. But I might do some drop-in bits and stuff. But I definitely want to get on today because I've not been able to speak to people properly. I've made videos and I streamed, but I've not been able to actually be on the podcast since the season really kicked off. Speaking of the season kicking off, the League Cup also kicked off. Sheffield Wednesday against Stockport. What did you think to this one, Jack?
It was a run out. It was. I sort of feel like in general the whole. No disrespect to Stockport, of course, but the whole occasion was just. It felt like another pre-season friendly game in my head, and I know a lot of people online have shared that sort of viewpoint where it was just because we've obviously made a load of signings as well. Since you've not been here as well, that you've missed the coverage on from the podcast. We've made, I think, something like 8 new signings. We've made something like 8 new signings, and it was pretty much a chance to give them all a run out. And it went about as you would have expected, a game with 6 new starters in the starting 11 to go. It was a bit disjointed. Everyone was a bit hesitant about moving off the ball, all that sort of thing, but. A 1-1 draw come the normal time, and then we went to penalties and we won it on penalties, and there was that phenomenal moment of Barry Bannon in the penalty where he's done the, is it Panenka? What, the one way where they coolly just walk up and chip the ball into the centre of the net. That one. He basically did that, and just everyone was just.
I think it's pronounced Panenka. But I'm not 100% sure.
Panenka.
So
I just did a Jake.
Correct you. You did.
Instead of calling him Munoz, he calls him Munez, and I've just done the same thing as Jake. Hi, Jake. By the way, love you. Yes, and that's. It was just a bit of a. But we're in the next round of the cup, so there we go. I don't really know if I need to say anything more on that. I don't know if you've got any added words to add to the whole.
No, it was woeful. But it was basically trying out a load of new players and seeing how it worked. So I understood it from that perspective. We're in the next round, and we're against Mansfield. So Aidan Flint returning will be interesting. That'll be a good one to see. Forgot to mention at the top, you can leave us reviews. Please go and do that. We've not had any in a while on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. I know some people are leaving episode reviews on Spotify, and I'll see what we're going to do with them because they're a bit different. I'll check those out. I think I have to tick those off or something, so I'm going to look into them. But yeah, there's memberships available as well if you click join below on the video version if you're watching this here. But yes, let's go into this one, which I don't really want to talk about. Well, it's back, Jack. The feeling of Sheffield Wednesday doing a Sheffield Wednesday, and that is Hull City 4, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Talk me through your thoughts on this game.
Well, I mean, I'd love to give you a load of nice words on it, but it's really difficult.
Are you getting the bloody match report up again? I saw this with Jake, and I was like, I'm not sure I believe this. God.
What I was going to say was it's really bloody difficult to polish a turd. I mean, what can you say nice about it? We did all right in the first half. I mean, Delgado scored his first Sheffield Wednesday goal out of nowhere when he just didn't really seem to be popping up all that much. But I've noticed this. He goes very under the radar for most of the game so far that he's been playing, and then he'll just have a moment of brilliance out of nowhere. And
I thought it was the opposite against Southampton. I thought he was the only player you actually noticed. But in terms of the whole game, I get what you're saying. I think the cross from Iorfa was quality for that goal, and then a quick free kick. We kind of caught him unawares, but you can't moan. They were trying to moan to the referee, and then we took a quick free kick and we scored. It happened.
Exactly.
But carry on.
It was all legitimate. It was all legitimate as well. The referee okayed it. The players were ready. It wasn't like the players were not ready to face that sort of thing. And we've been on the victim side of quick free kicks that opposition have done to us, and we've just done the same to them. And what is there to moan about? Anyway, sorry, Liam Rossignol, but I just anyway. And then the second half, it for the most after that goal for us, it just seemed like the players had never met each other before, and they just all turned up and was like, it was the first time they've ever even played together. Granted, there were 6 out of the 11 who were brand new players to the system and everything. But even having said that, when the core of 5 players is still there, you'd think that they would be able to communicate with each other. But there was nothing. There was no... And obviously the whole game finished 4-2, which I thought was very reflective of the game itself. I don't know why Liam Rossignol is saying they should have scored more because they had a 4-2 win. Be happy, mate. But...
I think it's because they had chances to score more. I know what he was saying. But to be honest,
it reflected the game well. It was terrible. It was dreadful. The players, there was no communication. And as well, Xisco is saying about how he really wants the team to be pressing all the time. Pressing, win the ball back, really quick, one-touch passing to try and score, right? There was no pressing. The team, it was like the team was spectating the opposition. Just playing around them. There was nothing. There was no pressing, nothing.
The defensive press worries me slightly because it looks like we're quite lackadaisical. I will say that is probably that for the third goal. So the first goal, penalty, I don't think it was a penalty. It was really soft. I can see why he gives it.
That was soft.
That changes the game. You go into the second half 1-1. The second game, 2 fans scores a beauty. So it was a beautiful finesse goal, top right. But when you're talking about that defence, the lazy sort of marking and the not intensity to press really for his third meant that he had space on the edge of the box. And they had time to pass it around the edge of the box. And yes, it was a great finish to find your way through all those players. But it did just feel lazy. It felt lazy defending for that third goal. And the fourth goal, the less said about it, the better with the Wekwe's back pass. He didn't even look up.
What the hell was that? He knew
I know
that
everybody makes a mistake,
there.
but he didn't look up. He just didn't look up. You're literally... the ball's practically out for a throw-in, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even look up, and he assists the man in on goal.
It's literally a through ball to their sodding striker, isn't it?
I think it wasn't a good sign when early in this game Bannon got dispossessed just from behind him, and he had 2 Wednesday players around him, and who's not screaming man on at that point, right?
I know.
When you're talking about communication, it's just it is worrying our possession on the ball. If I look for look at the possession percentage, and that's what's going around, right? We had 27% of the ball. Against Southampton, I kind of understood it. I thought passages of play I thought, if we're linking up on the ball like this, when we do actually have the ball, this looks all right. So when we go against Hull, we're going to look to have the ball more and actually go at them. But we didn't really. I just don't think whatever the plan is, I'm hoping there is one, whatever was meant to be there, just didn't click. We fouled 22 times in this game, right? It's like our pass accuracy was 70% as opposed to their 88. We had 250. That's from 254 passes, by the way. They had 680, right? So they had more passes and they were more accurate with it. And I thought we'd take it to Hull, and we just seemed to. We just didn't seem to click. I will say Bannon playing through an injury is not ideal. Yeah. You know, because he could be out for a bit now. We don't know the full extent of that just as of yet. I think when Bias came on, he looked really good, and I think it means he starts next game. I think that he was a really clever assist actually for Smith, the way he put the ball the wrong side of the defence.
Yeah.
And he waited it perfectly for Smith to come round. And when Smith finishes like that, if we see a little bit more of that, Byers and Smith link up, I think they've both got to start next game. And I think it's just concerning the scoreline. I feel like 2-2 would, if we hadn't made that, if there wasn't a penalty, right? Because I don't think it was. I think it was soft, and there wasn't a stupid back pass that ended up being an assist for them. You look at that 2-2 and you go, we're still finding our feet. So I do look at the other side of it where you would say we're still finding our feet. I'm not quite convinced because it had been a draw. However, those 2 goals make it a bit of an embarrassment, and you go, you look at the stats and you go, there's no real defending this. And that can be the difference. I am trying to keep the balanced, level-headed perspective of this is 2 games in, because I don't think...
3 including
the
cup game, I guess. Yeah.
I was saying I would give more, like 10 games in the champ.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's a case of a brand new manager coming in who's got a new team and in the situation he's been in. I think we do have to be patient with it. If it's woeful, it's going to be woeful. But there is, I will say, we need to see this shaping up a little bit more. The defensive press needs to be a little bit more intense. There needs to be a little bit more urgency there. I think this all comes down to time on the training pitch as well, Jack, because it's the basics as well. You shouldn't be losing the ball that easily, even in new systems.
And the thing is, Xisco even said himself in his post-match interview, he said that they've basically not had any time to actually train on the tactics, on the whatever, because it's just always been about player recovery from the previous game, because they've got to go again in 3 days time on Tuesday night, and then after that there's the recovery time again. So they only get like maybe 1-2 training sessions per week where they're actually focusing on the new system he wants to work.
Yeah, it's weird he's saying that at this point.
There's obviously like there's the whole pre-season that has happened. All of that when they've had time to focus on the new system. The 8 new signings that have come in, they weren't out there. The only one that was out there was Delgado. Literally, Juan Delgado was the only one of the new signings that was out there with them focusing on this new system, because he was the first one through the door. Everyone else has arrived when we got back from Spain. So there's been no...
What do you think talking about players coming in, what do you think about Dawson getting dropped for Vasquez? Because that's a big talking point this week.
I think it makes sense, because I don't think his distribution's anywhere near quick enough from what is needed, I think, in this new system that Xisco's trying to play. And judging on how Vasquez has performed, it's quite clear to see why he's been signed on loan. Because his distribution
it's very difficult. That I will say that he has just shipped 4 goals. He has just conceded 4 goals. However, I don't think he was really at fault for any of them.
He wasn't at fault for any of them.
No.
He could, 2 of them were pretty much screamers that he couldn't remotely get a hand to, and then the other 2 weren't even down to him. They were down to the defence in front of him being at fault. He was shocked that the back pass from Awekwe, he wasn't expecting it at all. I mean, granted, there might
Nearly
be a
got to the
language
penalty
barrier
as well.
there as well with a few of these new players, but that also it was too underhit as well. The back pass to him, it should have been a real drilled pass if it was going to be a back pass, and he just wasn't expecting. He probably wasn't expecting him to do that at all. He was probably expecting him to clear it upfield or something like that, and not. And then suddenly there's this underhit pass back towards him, and the whole striker's got onto it. You know, it was just frustrating all round. But again, I will also say, to counterbalance my roasting of the players being woeful, I will also say that it's 3 games in. There's a whole pre-season in Spain that has gone by that all of these new signings haven't been in attendance for. They've just been here after we've got back. 2 days before the Southampton game was when they started pouring in, pretty much. And so, how are they going to adjust to their new surroundings in that time?
I don't think it's fair, because I wanted to talk about. I get what you're saying. I don't want to. I want to talk more about
Patience
the Dawson thing for the minute.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily fair to drop him, purely because you've not given him a proper go in the Championship. I understand when a manager comes in and is wanting their own style of goalkeeper in there. So I do see how it happens. I can't help but feel for Dawson, and I've got to present this side of a Wednesday fan who has stuck around, who got loaned out, had a cracking season at Exeter, and they really wanted to keep him. He comes back, he's fighting with Stockdale, he wins the battle over Stockdale and becomes Sheffield Wednesday's goalkeeper. To be given 1 game in the Championship against Southampton and then dropped is it's difficult from that perspective. I will say, looking at the 2 of them, after watching Dawson a lot and seeing Vasquez in this limited time I've seen him, Vasquez with the ball at his feet is so natural. So I do understand it, right? He just looks so, there's never any and I'm not saying it always looks like Dawson's going to panic in terms of his distribution, but there's just a calmness to Vasquez when he's on the ball. Right, but that necessarily might not work if the defense aren't all linked up as well. We've got Owekwe's back pass. Yeah. Okay, so I think it makes sense. I think we'll probably see what will happen. I can see this being the plan, right? Vasquez comes in, and you phase the defense out so Owekwe plays less. He's brought players in like Diaby, Bernard. Yeah, he's got Valentin, players like that, players that he wants in that defense to play that style. I think under Moore we tried to play out from the back, and it didn't necessarily always work. So I can see why you would want your own defenders in that system if you are going to play that system, and it's clear he wants to play out from the back. So from that perspective, I can see why Vasquez was dropped, but I do still feel like it's probably Dawson probably deserved a good spell of it, but I think the manager's probably come in and gone, no, I want my own guy in, and that's rough. It would be less rough for me if we knew if we were going to sign Vasquez, because you're bringing someone in on loan.
Well, that was the point I was going to make as well, is that Vasquez coming in on loan, what if part of the agreement between Sheffield Wednesday and AC Milan is that he's basically the number 1, that he plays most games, and if
that's the feeling,
he gets taken back. When a goalkeeper is loaned, that's typically the agreement, is that they're going to be your number 1, that you don't just stick them on the bench for half the games of the season and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I also think that's, unless we've got an option in there, it's kind of short-sighted, because what do you do at the end of this season? And you've got a goalkeeper who is a Wednesday fan, wants to play for us, is in that age where he's still learning. He's not young, don't get me wrong. Goalkeepers obviously can go on for quite a while, but he's not at a position where he can't learn new styles and that sort of thing. And I don't think he's the worst at his feet. I don't think his distribution's amazing, right? It's something that he can improve. Yeah. But it's it just feels a little bit harsh for me at this point when you've not got a permanent goalkeeper coming in, because I'll be honest, Dawson starts for every League One side.
But But we have also gone up a league, and it is also a different kettle of fish.
But it's
in
also
this
a case
league,
of why is it? If he starts for every League One side, he ain't gonna. The only thing that's keeping him here probably is the Wednesday fan link.
Yeah.
Because why would you not go and have your career? Because to be honest, there'd be some Championship sides that don't play out from the back, maybe that would have him as their keeper as well.
Someone like Huddersfield or Rotherham or someone like that. Pretty much, I would say. He would be maybe their number one.
I could see him getting another team for sure. So it's a delicate line. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the Dawson-Vasquez thing, because there's only so many times I think you can be dropped back down to that number 2 position before you're like, maybe it's time to move on.
It's why Wildsmith left. It's why Wildsmith forced... Well, I'd want to say forced the move, but no. It's why he engineered the move to Derby, because he knew that he'd be the number 1 at Derby, So
yes, started to sour a little bit these past couple of games. Apparently, Wildsmith at Derby since the start of the new season. Hopefully, that's just a temporary bump. But
did you know, by the way,
social media.
There's rumours circulating in the Derby circles that they're not so much keen on Paul Warne, and they are looking at maybe getting Darren Moore in as the manager over there because of the past playing links with Darren Moore.
That'd possibly be a good shout, to be honest. But anyway, I'm not writing Dawson off. I think Xisco's got a big decision to make in terms of his goalkeepers, because either way, even if he weren't at fault for them, Vasquez has just conceded 4 in the last game. Does he make and he dropped Dawson after Southampton? Does he make the knee-jerk reaction to bring Dawson back in and keep chopping and changing them? Because one thing that isn't ideal. So he needs to make this decision early on in these first 10 games, who is going to be his number 1, because you can't just keep switching them, because we need a settled back line. If that game taught us anything, we need a settled back line.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Let's go into the Championship review. So it's back. They skip game week 1 because I'm working with amateurs. No, I'm joking. Not joking. Slightly joking. I thought you were pressing your soundboard for something then.
Oh, no, it was the mute button while I scratched my mustache because it was itching. Anyway.
Thank you for finishing that sentence. So, match day 2 in the Championship went like this. Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 0, Hull City 4, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Rotherham 2, Blackburn Rovers 2, with one of the weirdest red cards I've ever seen for Rotherham.
Really?
Basically, he gets a yellow, and then he gestures for a card. He sort of waves an imaginary card, he gets another yellow and is sent off or something. That's, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's because the referees are being stupidly meticulous about these new rules. They're like going a bit overboard. You know, when a train conductor is a bit sort of like, oh no, you had to buy a ticket at the station, even though I've got a ticket machine with me right now where you can buy a ticket. No, you had to buy one at the machine at the station, and I'm not going to let you buy one from me right now. I'm going to kick you off this train at the next station so you can buy one there and then get back on the next train. They're effectively doing that. The good old Jobsworth attitude at the moment. It's
do you remember when trains were actually? Do you remember when trains actually worked and they were actually a viable mode of transport?
And they were on time and affordable. And oh boy. Anyway,
enough of that. Huddersfield 0, Leicester City 1, Southampton 4, Norwich 4, an 8-goal thriller. That was quite the match actually.
Quite the game. Oh yeah.
West Brom 3, Swansea 2. Watford 0, Plymouth 0. So Plymouth, we're the worst performing relegated side so far. Preston promoted side, sorry. Preston 2, Sunderland 1, Ipswich 2, Stoke City 0. Ipswich top of the league, which is interesting. Cardiff 1, QPR 2. So a much needed win for QPR there over Cardiff. Birmingham 1, Leeds United 0. So not gone well for Leeds in that one.
Oh dear, Daniel Farker.
Millwall 0, Bristol City 1. And that's your matches. There's some interesting fixtures coming up. So Leeds have got West Brom coming up as well. Middlesbrough Huddersfield, that'll be an interesting one because both teams not performing well. Middlesbrough tipped to do a lot better this season, obviously. There's some interesting fixtures this week. Sunderland, Rotherham. A lot to talk about when we get there. But that leaves the table after 2 games like this. Ipswich Town, atop of the league. Said that too many times over the past season.
Oh, boy.
With 6 points. Leicester City, 6 points in second. Watford in third with 4 points. Plymouth in fourth. Plymouth! Literally two promoted sides are in the top six. Plymouth fourth with 4 points. Norwich fifth with 4 points. Southampton sixth with 4 points. Ipswich and Leicester are the only teams with 2 straight wins. There are 4 teams with 2 straight losses, and they are Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, and Middlesbrough. So Sheffield Wednesday are currently third from bottom in 22nd. Middlesbrough are rock bottom with -4 goal difference. Huddersfield Town are second to bottom, and Sunderland are fourth from bottom, just above Wednesday. Rotherham have a draw and a win. There's 4 teams with a draw and a win at the minute. Cardiff, Swansea, Leeds and Rotherham all making up that bottom section of the table at the minute. So it's not good for Wednesday on paper at the minute, but I do feel like we've got to improve at some point. I mean, Preston being the next test is not ideal, really, is it? But yes.
Although, having said this as well, the league table means absolutely diddly squat until it gets to like November and Christmas time. That's when you start looking at the league table.
That goes without saying, but it's always fun to look at.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Into the news. This is from the Wednesday website. No, sound bites. Momo Diaby joins the Owls on loan. The Owls have made our 9th signing of the summer in the shape of Frenchman Momo Diaby. The towering midfielder joins Wednesday on a season-long loan from Portuguese Primeira side how do you say that?
Portimonense. That's what I always...
Thank you.
I guess. I don't know.
Thank you. Diaby has spent his professional career to date in Portugal, including 4 seasons at Pacos Ferreira, and more recently, the one that Jack just said, who he joined in the summer of 2022. The 26-year-old links up with a familiar face at Hillsborough, having played at Pacos Ferreira with fellow New Owls recruit Juan Delgado. Diaby told SWFC.co.uk, "I know Juan. I've played with him before. Before I came, I spoke with him and he told me great things about the club. I am very happy and I hope we have a good season. I am here to help the team. As soon as I heard, it was clear I wanted to come to Sheffield Wednesday. And I am very happy because I will finally play in England. It has always been a dream. I can't wait. I've heard a lot of good things about the fans and I want to tell them that me and the rest of the team will do our best to make them happy." Diaby has been allocated shirt number 44 for the duration of his S6 stay. Thoughts on this one then? So more defensive midfielder, another Diaby, and this time in the shape of Momo. Jack, your thoughts?
It seems to be the either alternative or replacement or whatever for the Will Volk sort of role, the anchorman, I think.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah. I mean, we actually did say, Jake and I last week were saying that we really desperately need someone in that role, because Will Volk seems to be needing maybe a bit of a catch-up time on getting to that sort of level with the new system in place and all that sort of stuff. And obviously this guy is played in a league where they regularly play the sort of system that Xisco is wanting to implement. So maybe it's a case of, we're getting a ready-made player on loan that's ready to play in that system right now. And I guess, that's kind of how I see it. I'm just reserving all these new signings. I'm reserving judgment for a while until we've seen a lot of them, because a lot of them we don't know actually particularly well, other than maybe Diaby, but not this Momo, the first Diaby that we signed, good old Bambo, number 5, from his time at Preston and Barnsley and whatnot. But yeah,
I think the important thing you said there is the Volks link.
Yeah,
because I do think Volks.
He seems a bit
not
slow.
He's
I don't know. I
don't want to start having a pop. By the way, but I want to say the start to the season's not been ideal for the team in general. So maybe some competition in that role, let's say it that way, will be ideal. And this is a player that is a good age, actually. So he should be coming into the prime of his career. He's 26, right? So
I hate when people say that, the good age. It just reminds me of that really on that Soccer AM program, but back in the day when they used to have those the female fans come out. It was just so cringe, and then all that the proper gammon audience members would be like, "Oh, good age," when they'd say they're like 22, and I'd just cringe thinking about it. And it always gives me flashbacks of those. You know what I'm on? The Soccer AM episodes of the early 2000s.
I'm upset. Stop talking.
Yes,
I'm upset.
But I hate when people say that, the good age thing.
I mean, a good age to get someone on loan, Jack, for Christ's sake,
okay,
right?
Thank God.
Because coming into the prime of your career, playing in England for the first time and wanting to impress, it all lines up with the fact of the stage he's at in his career for his age.
Yes.
That's the reason I said that. Thank Jesus Christ, Jack.
I'm just saying, it reminds me of that, and it creeps me out. So,
you're welcome.
It's a bit like you with blooding the youngsters. That's my thing.
Oh, no, it's just no. Yeah, I get you.
It's the same. Yeah, there you go. Anyway,
it's so much worse though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
right. Anyway, he's 26. He's 6'6", so he's a towering defensive midfielder. He played 25 times last season, and it's his first foray into English football. I'm quite excited by the potential of this. I can't lie and say I know a load about him, but in terms of his physicality, we're probably going to need a little bit more of that in this league now. Because the one thing I do notice is when we tend to put Barry Bannon defending set pieces and stuff like that, the ball just goes over his head. No offense, Barry, but like the more height we've got in these positions will be ideal when we're defending from those situations. And I'm quite excited. I mean, I don't base things off FIFA cards, but if his FIFA card is anywhere near accurate, we're not expecting a load of pace. Should we do his FIFA card as we always do?
James bringing up a FIFA card in a Talking Wednesday episode, but water is wet, so there we go.
Right, okay.
Yes,
can we stop with the sass? This is not just a me thing. This is a Talking Wednesday tradition, and if you join the Talking Wednesday hosts, you respect our traditions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Speaking of join memberships are available where you can get Talking Wednesday extras episodes once a month.
Yeah, mostly. So, yes, I'm still editing them. Diaby is the 68 rated silver. He's got 32 pace, 45 shooting, 52 passing, 52 dribbling, 69 defending, and 78 physical. So you ain't going to be running around loads with him. But yes, I'm quietly optimistic about him. We signed 2 Diaby since I was last on an episode. As Jack scrolls through Tinder.
Actually, no. I was putting my phone on aeroplane mode because it keeps buzzing and it's annoying me. But yes.
Fair enough. I want to raise the comment about...
Yes.
Xisco was talking about leaving players out, and he was questioned about Marvin Johnson. And he went, you're going to have to ask him why he's not playing.
Yeah.
And then apparently... I don't know how real this is. I don't know if it was a Photoshop or anything like this, but a fan apparently asked him, and he replied and just went, "Don't know, mate," with a thumbs up. So
it looks very photoshopped.
It does look very photoshopped, but we never know. Well, I don't know. I glanced it, to be fair, and it looked like a message. But then again, I didn't look into it any further. I don't know if Johnson would reply to that, but it's. I'm not going to actually include that as a legible thing in the podcast because it's one thing that I saw on the timeline when I couldn't believe that, but it's also a case of I've not actually looked at the photo in any depth. So I think he probably just doesn't fancy him. But it's one of those situations where he knows the players and he knows that he knows. If we're giving away the ball in these positions, I don't see why he wouldn't make it the squad. He's not done anything under Xisco really. So, what do you feel about him getting left out?
Well, actually, I've got a very different angle on this, and Jake has talked about it in a video as well. It's where basically during the pre-season, it's why Marvin Johnson actually took so long to re-sign his contract. It's because his child became quite ill during the pre-season days, whatever, and was actually hospitalised and all sorts. And so hopefully they're making a full recovery and everything. But that's been clearly on his mind, and maybe that side of it has taken over his thoughts, and he's not been training great because of that, and maybe that whole side of things is a reason why he might not be being, put in the side, put in the squad, whatever. And maybe Xisco's actually protecting him here with, you'll have to ask him, or why he might not be, all that sort of stuff. I see it more of as language barrier, and he's protecting the player, and he's sort of saying it's up to him to decide if he wants to share that or not, and all that sort of thing. And
that could be it, actually. I appreciate.
And I just don't think his head might be in the right frame of mind to be playing games of football when there's maybe stuff going off the field. I would think that might play a big part in it, but we obviously don't know the full details, and we respect Marvin's privacy and all that sort of thing, and I don't want to pry into it too much or anything like that. But that was a thing that was happening in pre-season, and it still might be an unresolved situation outside of football, which could be causing him to not get picked, just because his mind isn't in the right place. And I fully understand that. If your mind isn't in the right place, you're not going to perform, I guess. Do you know what? It'd be interesting then. It'd be interesting to ask: is it a footballing perspective? Yes.
That could be a good question from a journalist, because I think everybody would shut up then if he said no. It's a personal thing.
Yes.
Because you don't need to go into it anymore than then, but it's more of a that is then protecting the player, in my opinion, because it's not, and it's protecting the team as well. So
yeah, exactly.
But because if it is a footballing thing, there is questions around, well, why isn't he involved? Because he could add something to the squad. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he'd start, but he's definitely, when you're not doing great, he's an option, do you know what I mean? And he's not even that at the minute.
Yeah.
So,
but as well, I will raise the point as well. Everybody, it seemed like the vast majority of people were saying before the season started that probably he would be a squad player this season. And when he's then being actually used as a squad player, if we can call it, you know what I mean by squad player, like maybe just in the squad training, all that sort of stuff. And that's exactly what's happening right now, and everyone's losing their minds over it. Even though the same people were also saying that he was probably going to be a squad player ahead of the season, and now that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, but a squad player means he gets game time as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, he should be getting game time.
But it's only 3 games in. It's only 3 games in. So, and everyone seems to be behaving as though it's 13 games in rather than 3. So there's been 3 games. And
I will say the meltdown has started already.
And I don't get it. This is what I don't get. That it's 3 games in, guys.
Be careful. I got accused of always slagging off Wednesday fans the other day, and I was like, when do I slag off? I just say, like, when something's a little bit much.
Yeah.
Jesus
Christ. This is it though as well. Like, people only sort of take little sound bites and then roll with that, or they don't read. For example, they don't read a full news article. They read the headline and see the picture, and they just go with that. They don't actually read what's in the article, and the article of something itself could totally disprove everything that the point that they've made, because they didn't read the article. So it's either, and in this case, it's actually listen to the full pot. It's like people used to. Do you remember at the close of the season, people were criticizing me online for making comments about the podcast or whatever, when they don't even listen to the podcast. They were just making really vicious comments about stuff that I would tweet from the Talking Wednesday or whatever that was valid points, and they wouldn't even listen to the podcast. Actually listen to the podcast, and you will then understand who the heck we are. Stop taking our tweets out of context. And it was so
a bit weird saying stuff like, "Oh, they clearly talk crap on this podcast."
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, well, for one, that tweet came from someone who at that point wasn't even that regular of a host.
Yes.
Was our Twitter match day and was commenting on something they were watching, yet they didn't.
In the moment of the game.
Yeah,
and like,
a bit weird.
Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Sorry, we've gone off on a tangent, but it's linked to the meltdown, and it was a similar meltdown then, and this is 3 games in, and there's a meltdown, and which actually, to be fair, it does link very well into the next article, but I'm not
We're not reading the
transition,
next
but
article. A lot of the articles that are this week, so there's not a lot of news. So it's more of a case of the news section here. I'm going to talk about a couple more news pieces, but a lot of it, the reason we did an extended bit at the start where I brought in the Dawson topics and things like that, it's not necessarily news. It's more a case of
discussion
we're
topics.
We're at the stage of the season where it's discussion topics, and we're not actually currently linked with anybody 100% at the minute, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen in the past sort of 24 hours, so we will discuss that as we go on, I'm sure. But in terms of news, the next one is the Owls esports thing. They've made some new partnerships with like Steel City Interactive, AOC, and 2K Games. So they're trying to do a little bit more on that. I've seen they've had a few events and stuff for younger Owls and things like that. I keep getting people on my career modes and stuff, or just DMing me and going, "Are you going to get involved with all this?" I went, "I'm quite good at FIFA. Don't get me wrong. I'm all right at FIFA, but I'm not like elite at FIFA. I have fun with FIFA."
And if you're a join member, you could have seen the episode where Dex and I actually played FIFA against one another, and you will have seen how, quote unquote, all right at FIFA he was when he thrashed me at almost every single game, where he played as a literal international team, and I played as a provincial Portuguese side in the lowest division you could find.
We flipped it as well, and I still beat you. Did we not?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah, yes, we did. You may be
were
good,
playing
Dex,
the
but are you
randomizer
esports
game.
Good? Yes, we were. Correct.
I had a dodgy controller then as well. My sprint trigger was sticking.
So, it's all right. Just rub it in even more. Dex, if I could speak English today, rub it in even more. But you had a dodgy controller and you still flashed me like 4-0. That was oh boy, that was something.
That was so funny. His reactions were wonderful in that, and that's a top
I was
tier.
actually holding myself back, you know. I was like being so conscious that I was going to be in a Dexterity Box YouTube video, so I was holding back on my reactions to things and that. I could have gone completely off the rails, but yes, we might return. We might
put some clips out from that at some point on different platforms. We'll see. That might be a good idea.
Let us know in the comments if you want to see a pro clubs of the three of us on the next installment of the FIFA franchise, which is now EA FC 24.
Can you do it as a 3?
Yeah.
I don't know how Pro Clubs really works, because I thought it had to be 11 people. Oh,
no. How do you think the sidemen and all them do it? There's only like 4 or 5 of them that play at a time with that. So.
Oh, I'll do that then. Yeah. I just didn't want to be in a situation where I couldn't organise it all and I was like with 11 different people and trying to organise all of that.
Oh, no.
If it's just the 3 of us, that's easy. I'll do that. Yeah. I don't really play it.
During the game, it like randomly selects one of the people to control.
Me and my mate started doing
near the ball and all that stuff.
Me and my mate started doing the co-op seasons, and that's quite fun. Actually, I didn't even think about doing anything like that, but that's quite fun. I'm looking forward to the new game. I'm not 100% loving the fact that I can't get a 20% discount off it, because I need it to make content. I need it for work purposes.
Yeah,
but it's so expensive, that game now, for what you get, and I don't. Unfortunately, I'm in that window where I don't think I'd be able to get a review copy of it or an early copy of it. Unless anybody from EA actually listens to this, please feel free to hook me up. That'd be fantastic. But no.
But to link it back to the topic of Sheffield Wednesday esports, basically it's quite good, I would say, from a publicity standpoint, because we're making inroads into things that other clubs have been doing for the last 5 or plus years. So it's nice of us to finally join the party. You know,
we've been doing it for about a year or so, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it's nice that they're getting, especially with like some of the younger ones, getting involved and making it more accessible. Because the one thing you don't want from things like that is it to be exclusive, and they don't do events where fans can join. If you do things that are a little bit too, there's a lot of things where it's like there's not that much inclusivity for fans, and I think the esport, if as long as they're bringing fans in and people can, everyone should be able to get involved. It shouldn't be I think I'm all about inclusivity, Jack. Everybody being able to get involved with everything.
Absolutely.
So, and there's not enough of that these days. So, moving on to Bannon being in the top 20 all-time Owls appearance makers. So this is from the Wednesday website. Barry Bannon has moved into the Owls top 20 all-time appearance makers following Tuesday's evening's victory over Stockport in the Carabao Cup. Wednesday beat the Hatters on penalties at Hillsborough, and by taking to the field, Bannon secured his name amongst the greats in S6. The Scot has racked up 359 appearances since joining the Owls in August 2015 on a free transfer from Crystal Palace. Just 19 players have featured more in blue and white, with Barry Bannon on the same number of games as fellow icon Peter Shirtliff. The 33-year-old made his Owls debut against Burnley on the 12th of September 2015 and has played a key role in the heart of our midfield since. He was given the captain's armband ahead of the 2020-21 campaign and led Wednesday to promotion last season. Congratulations, Baz. Here's to many more. Here's the full top 20 list. So now Barry Bannon this is actually out one because he's got 360. But we'll go from 359. Yeah. So Barry Bannon, Pete Shirtliff, 359. So Barry Bannon's actually...
He's knocked off Shirtliff from the list now.
He's actually going to go up to like 18th. Yeah, he has. He's knocked him off. Because next match he plays, he will be equal with Willie Layton on 361.
Yeah.
Then if he plays 2 more matches, he'll be equal with Des Walker in 18th. He then has to play 10 more matches, which he'll probably do this season to get to 17th. Tom Brittleton there. 16th is 382, so that's 20 more appearances. That's 21 more appearances for him now. Doable this season, depending on if he's injured, you know. So he could get to 16th with Tom McInerney. Is it McInerney? Yeah. 384. He could actually get Ron Springett's place of 384. Yeah. Because it's a 46-game season, isn't it, thinking about it?
Yeah.
So he could literally just be behind Liam Palmer close towards the end of the season. Because Liam Palmer's going to keep making fixtures, but he could be equaling it. So Liam Palmer's on 398, right? But he could end up creeping around that position. So that'd be quite cool. I don't think he's going to quite reach the top because the top is 546 with Andrew Wilson. So that's a lot of fixtures. But top 10, 424, that would be... If you say... It depends if it's his last season. If he's got a couple of seasons, he could broach that top 10. You know? We'll see.
We'll see.
Yes. That's it for the news this week. There's not been a load of news. I guess I really wanted to talk about anything that you wanted to talk about, Jack, to end this. The community topic will be coming back probably, if not next week, the week after. We've actually got something quite exciting starting the next week. We'll do the accounts in terms of the Wednesday accounts. It doesn't need to be a big episode. We'll probably do that as a Talking Wednesday extra, but I might make that available for the 99p tier as well for the people who just want to chip in for that episode. Just to be extra kind, I'll make that one. It'll be one of the backlog episodes, basically. So we'll probably do an episode where we talk about the accounts, and that'll be a solo thing this time, a separate thing from the main podcast because it's looking slightly better on that front. And we'll briefly reference it here and there. I feel like Chansiri might, in the next season or so, feel like he's got money to spend. So that would be nice. But yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about Musaba and the fact that I want to see him more, Jack, at the minute. I don't know what your feelings are on that. When I saw him against Southampton, I was like, just start him for Christ's sake. Like, he's exciting.
He's exciting, but I also don't want to rush him in too much too quick because there's a fine line between putting him in too early and then getting him completely out of his... It's one of those situations where because of how young he is, it could be a make or break sort of period of time where he will either really kick on or he'll possibly crumble under the expectation. Because
the exciting thing is he's a permanent transfer.
And I'm like... And he's with us for 3 years. Let's not forget he's with us for at least 3 years. So we've got 3 years of him guaranteed. So that means that we don't necessarily need to rush him out right now to, you know... He may have looked really exciting, but we need to nurture it. We don't need to overuse that. You know what I mean?
I think he needs to start at against Preston. Right. What's your lineup for next week? Because this is interesting, right? Because obviously we've had a lot of chopping and changing. What's your 11 for next week?
I'd go back to the Southampton 11, actually.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'd change it slightly.
I'd go back to the Southampton 11. But with Diaby in centre-back instead of Iwekwe.
So
as in
I
Bambo
would
Diaby in centre-half, yeah.
I'd potentially go Famio at left-back with Valentin option there. Centre-backs, Diaby. Do you give Bernard a run out? Maybe?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Right back.
I'd stick with Iorfa there personally, but
would you keep it Iorfa in the centre back position? Yeah,
because I think he's been all right actually. Iorfa so far.
I actually for some stability, I'd see Palmer come back in at right back just for this start. But I think Patterson did really well there against Southampton.
This is where I would disagree with you though. I would say Liam Palmer needs to come in for the Will Volks role.
That's my disagreement because I want to start the new Diaby in there and give him a run out.
Oh, okay.
Because I want my midfield three. It would be Bannon, Byers, Diaby for me there.
Okay.
But it depends on... Why? Who would you have in your midfield?
Probably Byers, Bannon and Palmer.
So
and then maybe the new Diaby could come on in the second half. Don't give him the start, but, you know.
So I say we play 4-3-3, right? But we play more of a diamond three in the midfield, you know, with the defensive midfielder. Bannon and Byers with Diaby behind. And then I put Musaba, I want to start him on the right wing. And then I want Smith up top because I want that Smith-Byers line up.
I'd agree, yeah.
And then I'd probably give Windass another go at left wing, but that's the one I could change out. And then you've got other options. Like I know we've got like Valentin and Delgado who can play further up, and I do like Delgado, so he could easily start in one of them wing positions as well. But I would want to put Palmer back at right back there for some stability.
Okay.
But then if you think about if you start Diab, if Delgado actually plays on the wing, which we know he can do, and you put him on the same side as Palmer, they could overlap. But Byers and Bannon in the midfield is not a very defensive midfield. But if this new Diaby actually gets well in training and he appears to be quite a defensive presence, that's when I take the risk. Yeah, you know, in that defensive role. But I also could see Palmer filling it. I think Backinson's done all right, to be fair. So I could see him. I could if Bannon's injured, would you go Backinson or would you put somebody else in that position?
You see, for me, Backinson's done all right, but I do feel like he's still a bit slow on the ball in reaction times and that sort of thing. He's not got the quick turnaround tempo that, for example, I mean, Bannon, you can say without a doubt he's got it, but Byers has got a much quicker sort of agility turnaround. He can make a decision in a much quicker amount of time, and I'd probably say the same thing goes for Palmer, and that's why I would have Palmer in maybe his sort of role or the anchorman role. And I would also argue put if it was say the diamond, Diaby central defensive midfielder, Bannon and Byers, you know, alongside one another, and the number 10 role I'd have Windass as the central attacking midfielder, and then I'd have Delgado on the left wing, Musaba on the right wing.
I don't know if they officially call it the diamond, if it's a defensive midfielder. But it's I'm talking about the centre defensive mid sitting behind the central midfielders. Yeah. If you're going the other way with the attacking midfielder, so you're going two central midfielders. Yeah. And then see, for me, Byers, Bannon, Windass in the midfield, that's two attacking.
Oh right.
That's not enough defensive cover. There's not enough people coming back when we've not been that great defensively. So for me, it would actually, if Bannon's injured, it would probably have to be Backinson that goes in that position, because the other position is Volks. The other situation is Volks. So,
I mean, Patterson could also fulfill that sort of role as well.
Yes, I know he could, but I don't want him in the mid. I don't want him in the midfield anymore. I think honestly, when we saw him against Southampton, seeing him running down the right and being a right back is probably actually his best position. I wouldn't mind him being our right back. You know, you could put. Maybe this Diaby in midfield doesn't have to sit in that defensive role. Maybe he can sit central midfield and be more of a centre mid, but with defensive capabilities. And Baez plays the box to box role a little bit more. I don't know what I wouldn't do. I potentially, if Xisco is actually trying to actually show some logic to his system now, he has to drop Dawson. Vasquez has to start because otherwise it looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
doesn't it? So Dawson's got the number one. It's very difficult. And then you go, when does Charles get a look in? Because Charles looks all right in pre-season. So
I would actually argue that Charles needs to go out on loan to a League One club, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. A ball-playing team, though. He needs to be in a ball-playing team.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even they've just come up, but like someone like Wrexham or Notts County would be a great shout for a potential destination for him as well, actually. Because they play exactly that sort of football, don't they? They're ball-playing sides. But yes, they're in League Two.
I don't think he's going to start over Ben Foster.
Oh, no. This is, yeah. Yeah. Well, which is why I'm also including Notts County in that as well.
Yeah.
But
carry on.
No, I just think that the sooner he gets out on loan and can have first team football, the better, because that means that he's going to be developed enough to be actually within a shout of the Wednesday keeper position sooner rather than later. And I think with looking at how much potential he has, we need to get him in there because I can see him being our future number one kind of thing.
Yeah, I want him to be. I think he's got all the signs of being able to be that. So, yeah. Let's look ahead to Saturday. So we're in a position now where we talk about them not having time to gel because of the cup fixture. They've got 2 weeks with a week gap. So they've had all this week, they've got all this week until Preston on the 19th, and then they've got another week until Cardiff. Yeah. So this is the time now where we're going to start to see it start to come into play. So by Leeds on the 2nd of September, you'd hope
they're all more gelled together.
Yes. You would hope we're more in that situation. Speaking of Preston, they've got 4 points. Their home record is 3 points this season. There's been 2 fixtures, obviously, and they got a draw on the road. Their last result was a win at home against Sunderland, and obviously they are coming to Hillsborough on Saturday. How are you feeling about playing Preston this early on?
I'm hopeful because they haven't really started out like I thought they would. They've had a bit of a mixed bag, haven't they? And
we never play well against Preston, though. That's the one thing I've got in my head. And I know that's a weird thing to say, you say club, but I never remember Wednesday playing that well against Preston, any iteration of them. So I'm slightly concerned. But
I'm slightly concerned, but also I don't think it will be the whitewash that maybe the doom sayers are sort of saying. I think effectively we need to adopt a game-by-game basis going forwards until this team is clearly gelled. And I hate to also bring up the example. I hate to use them as a good example. I hate that this word is in my mouth. But Rotherham United, when they lost Paul Warne and they then got in the new guy, Matt Taylor, it took them so long to gel and so long to adopt the new system. But when they did, it went magnificently. And I feel like the same sort of thing is going to happen here.
The small amount of time we've got the ball against Southampton, I was like, Hull just let me down so much because I looked at it and I was like, no, this looks clueless. But against Southampton, I could see small patterns of play that were slightly exciting, and then it all just got crushed against Hull. But there is something there if, and it's a big if, we can sort it all out. So keep an eye on Will Keane for Preston because he's got two goals in 2 games.
Former Sheffield Wednesday player as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We had him on loan during the Azerbaijan Land of Fire season.
Yeah, we did. We're coming up against Jordan Storey, talking about former Sheffield Wednesday players. That was a little bit more recent. So, just keep an eye on Will Keane because 2 goals in 2 games, and there's only been 2 games this season. He's also got an assist in that as well. Yeah, we need to be careful of that one, but it will be Jake and Jack talking about that next week. I might try and pitch my thoughts in. I might have also done an awkward stitch because I forgot Jake sent me his thoughts on the weekend's game, so there might be an awkward stitch somewhere in this of Jake's thoughts. But he is in this episode. I will try and do the same for next time. But yes, I will. We will see what happens on that one. But that's all I've got for this week's episode of Talking Wednesday, Jack. Unless you've got anything to add, my friend.
Just stop panicking. It's 3 games into the season. You know, that's
Stop panicking!
Like, it's not a case of us sitting here sipping a little coffee while all the house is burning down. That's not what's happening. Wednesday fans are treating it like that. That is not what's happening. It's 3
Wednesday
games in.
fans.
The manager, some Wednesday fans, the manager and his staff have only been here a month. We've got 8 new signings through the door. 6 of those new signings played against Hull and started. It's not a case of panic stations. It's 3 games in. Some of these same fans, by the way, at the head of when Xisco first signed, were all saying we need to have patience. So have patience. Go on what you said you would do. Have patience. Let the team gel. Let the team become a unit, because they won't be a unit after having played together or trained together, about 2 weeks. That's not going to happen. They don't know each other. They don't know how to communicate properly with each other. They're having to use bloody Bambo Diabe is the translator, and so is Windass for several of the players. There's a language barrier in place. Like, they're not going to gel after a week, you know? It needs to have time. We need to give them time. So please stop expecting the world after a week, you know? We need calm. We need patience.
Completely. So,
the meltdown is needless.
As we end this episode,
yes,
you heard it here first. It is not time to panic at the Xisco.
No.
It is time to keep the pace.
That's been in your head. That I could see it on your face. That's been in your head for like the whole duration of what I was saying there.
Your whole monologue, yeah.
For God's sake.
You could have just let me end it like that. But yes, this has been it for episode 132 of the Talking Wednesday podcast.
Yes.
Take care. We will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See you later.